Welcome to the Barry Charles Footy Show. We're ready to rock and roll into round 2 preview. But let's have a look at what has happened this week. Yes, the HIA saga. Did Kalen Ponga deserve to be taken off the field in the crucial time of the game? People will argue that he shouldn't have been taken off. But at the end of the day, the NRL are looking after themselves and saving the players from themselves as well. The question mark obviously is because the NRL don't want to be sued. We've had players like Jay McManus and others try to sue the NRL and failed, and they want to make sure they have this all covered up so no one can come back to say that we didn't do our job. Also, Mitchell Moses, the drama continues. He will not sign with the Eels, and why is it? Is it just a 1-year contract? Or is it because he is toing and froing whether he wants to go back to the Tigers and play with Luke Brooks? And is there a question mark over Sualihi? Why he's staying at the Roosters? Because Tedesco is going to the Tigers. Is that the exclusive that both Moses and Tedesco are going back to where they came from to deliver the Tigers a premiership? Is that the side note that may be coming? It might be a dream for you Tigers fans, but live the dream. Why not? Also, what's happening out there? Obviously, we got to look at Amon getting his chance to return. What do you think about that? Do you think he deserves to return? Will he start this week? That's going to be an interesting factor going into the rest of the season. Obviously, the re-signing of David Fafita. Will he continue to play good now, or will he go back into his shell? Well, let's find out though here. Let's have a look at round 2 games here in the NRL. Yes, indeed. Who's going to win? That's going to be the big question of all as we go into the season. Yes, round 2. Let's get it off. And first off here, we got the Rabbitohs and Penrith tonight. Yes, Thursday night footy is back on the air. And this is going to be one game that the Panthers have been winning for quite a while. So the Rabbitohs have got to find a way to win. Can they do it? There's no Coruscant, there's no Kikau, there is no excuse. Latrell, I presume, is playing. Haven't heard anything otherwise. To me, this is with Totola out, Totola and Jai Arrow out, there's big question marks in the forward pack for the Rabbitohs. But also, there's question marks in Penrith. The fight between Jamin Salmon and Jerome Luai obviously went on public air. Will they gel together, or will it just implode as the season goes on, as the pressure keeps ticking? And the pressure could tick after this. You'd expect Penrith to bounce back, but I've got some funny feeling here. The Rabbitohs have got a chance to prove themselves as not just a make the preliminary final, that they are a grand final threat. And this is their chance. If they really are a grand final threat, they would beat Penrith on the players they've got there. Because Damien Cook should cover up Mitch Kenny any day of the week. That is the big problem. Sonny Luke will have to come out and have a well of a game, to me, to expect Penrith to win this game. But obviously Cleary and Luai also have to lift in Edwards. You know what you're going to get out of him. But Cleary has been proven time and time again, if he doesn't have that good number 9, he hasn't been able to deliver. And New South Wales is a good point in charge. So that's something that Cleary needs to improve. So to me in this one, I think the Rabbitohs could upset here. And I'm going 6 points for the Rabbits. And all because Latrell Mitchell's in the team for mine. But again, Latrell Mitchell can go in and out of games, so he needs to be at his best week in, week out. Same with Damien Cook. And Cody Walker was quiet last week and they got it done. So if Cody Walker can bounce back, that's even better for as obviously Lachlan Elias was very, very good. Let's look at the next game up. The Eels versus the Sharkies. Both teams come under a loss. Obviously, Hodgson had a pretty good game, but his house pairings were a bit quieter. Moses and Dylan Brown, they need more out of them. Obviously, there was too much work done by the props, Junior Paulo and Regan Campbell-Gillard, that they didn't give many people on the bench a lot of game time. And whether their bench is up to NRL standard. Obviously, still missing a couple of players with injury and suspension with Madison and Sean Wayne. So it's going to be another game. The Eels. This is a must-win for the Eels. If the Eels they win this, I still don't think they're going to make the top 8 anyway. But if they want a chance of making the top 8, they have to win this game. If they lose this game, I think it could, because they've got a hard road ahead coming up. The Sharkies as well. They're also a team that need the win. Sam Russell's back for the Eels. But Nico Hines for the Sharkies. So that's the consumer. Braden Trindle had a very good game. Can he keep that up for the next game? To me, on what I saw last week from both teams, they're probably fairly similar. But I just got a funny feeling the Sharks are going to get it done. Now, I could be proved wrong, but I just think the Sharks are really, really up for this one. And I'm going to go, the Sharkies are going to get it done by 7. Let's go to maybe the game of the round. Broncos versus the Cowboys. This normally goes down to the wire. One way or the other, generally in these games. Reece Walsh making his Broncos debut. How good is he going to be? Cobbo back to the wing. He had a solid game, even though he made a few mistakes, but a lot of potential with Cobbo there as well. Obviously, Patrick Harrington and Payne Haas were huge, but it's too much of a workload on those two players. The other Broncos players need to step up in that area. And the Cowboys on the other side were very solid, but fell asleep a bit in the second half. But my question for you Broncos fans out there, to me, why they won't win the premiership this year, even though the rest of the team is very good, they got it. I don't know if Billy Walters, they're going to find some way to make him or Corey Paix improve their game to such a big level that they can win the comp. I think they'll be a top 8 team, but I just got that question mark whether they can go all the way with their hooking rotation, not up to NRL standard, to be honest. And on the other side, where the Cowboys have the Reece Robsons and the Jake Granville, I think that's where it's going to be won this game. And I think they just got a bit more experience there. So I'm going the Cowboys for 1 point in this game. Very much a bit of a... Jeremiah Nanai was very quiet, so they want more out of him this week. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. Now, Saturday, the Roosters looking to come back to good old winning ways, or the Warriors pull off the upset of the round. Well, that's for people to debate here. Obviously, Victor Adley was very quiet. A lot of the Roosters players were quiet last week, and they bounced back into the deliver. Warriors were pretty impressive, defensively anyway. But Sean Johnson, Tim Martin, Sean Johnson was in the game, but he was kicking out on the full and kicking it dead. He still got that in this game, and that was disappointing. And I think we just need a bit more out of Tamati Martin. Good defence from Nickel Clockstad last week and Edward Cossey. So if they can bring that steal, they'll definitely make this an interesting game. Obviously, Joey Manu is back, so that's a very good sign for the Roosters fans. What you bring Stu Hudson back to the bench where he should be, and Corey Allen on the other side. And Jazz Devaga is still another week away from what I can gather. There, Corey will need to improve for the Warriors. Absolutely was quiet and really disappointing compared to Jackson Ford, who really had a big game for. And even off the bench, Bunty and Tommy Ale, they didn't play big minutes, but when they came on, they made some impact, so that's good to see. What do I see the scoreline here? I mean, I really want the Warriors to win, and if you go on last week's performance, you'd probably think the Warriors would win. But I just have to go with what I expect. I expect the bounce back factor from the Roosters here, and the Roosters, to me, to win by 12 points. But you never know. I clearly can prove wrong, and hopefully the Warriors win, but I have to go with what I think in the head. I expect the Roosters to bounce back in this one. Dolphins and the Raiders. Well, the Dolphins go to Redcliffe for the first time at KO Stadium to face off against the Raiders. Can they make it 2 on the bounce and really shake up this NRL comp, who most people thought they were going to be wooden spooners? Or can Ricky Stewart provide the ambush after a disappointing first up loss? Mason Teague makes his debut for the Dolphins. with Ray Stone out. And the only change for the Raiders is Albert Hopewadi comes in for Jordan Rapana for the suspension, which had to be done. Interesting, there's still no room for Cody Nikorima and Anthony Milford. I understand Anthony Milford, but I would think Nikorima would be a given to be on the bench, but they're still not picking him. So interesting to see how that goes during the season. Wayne Bennett looking to do it 2 weeks in a row. Will they fatigue? That is the question. Did they go so high in their first game that they're going to drop back down to earth and get a reality check from the Raiders? That can happen with Jack Whiten. Jamal Fogarty was quiet. He would have to really improve to really make it. But I still, the Dolphins with their forward pack, if they can deliver that sort of performance again, they look like they would be the stronger team of this one. And I'm going to go for them for 6 points. I'm going to go 6 points to the Dolphins in this game. Now the next game, the Storm, whose recent form at home has been disastrous, to be honest. They've lost 3 of the last 4, including losing to the Raiders in the first week of the finals to go out. Can they turn it around at home and get that victory and make it 2-2 against the Bulldogs, who are pretty much average, very average, and they are an unchanged lineup. They obviously, Matt Bird and Josh Adokar, expect to really bounce back after a very poor performance from both of them. Kyle Flanagan, even with the sin bin, he's really got to find his feet, otherwise it'll be his last year in the NRL from mine. But to me, there's just too much experience still in the Storm, even though they've lost all the Bromwiches and the Kafusis. They have still got a very solid team. They still have Nelson Sofamola and Christian Welsh. Obviously, injuries would be a big concern for the Storm going forward. If they get injuries in those areas, that would be a concern for them to have any chance of the premiership. But as it stands now, their starting side is very good. No Munster for this game, obviously, with Tyron Wishart coming in. But to me, I just find the Melbourne, again, they're just going to be too strong. And I think they'll win quite easily by 13. The Bulldogs fans, I have grave concerns this season. I still do. Even though Cameron Serraldo and they're all happy days, I still got grave concerns around number 7 and the fullback. Really, the big concerns for me, and they need to address that very quickly if they want to win some football games. Now, getting to the final 2 games in the round on Sunday night footy, well, Sunday afternoon footy at Leichhardt Oval. Who is it going to be? Both teams are desperate to get the win. Will it be a game like that? Be a bit of rough and tumble as they both try to win here between the Tigers and the Knights. David Clemmer and Jackson Hastings going head to head against their old clubs brings a bit of spice to this game. Kalen Ponga, can he get over the HIA thing and improve the attack? Because the attack was a little bit lackluster. Lockie Miller was pretty good, but Jackson Hastings and Kalen Ponga looked a little bit lost at sea, and the attack was very pedestrian, to say the least, against the Warriors. And even though Warriors had some good goal line defence, very pedestrian at times, the Knights, they'll need to improve that if Adam O'Brien wants to stay in the coaching gig. So how do I see the Tigers? Well, again, I think they might have tried to play too much like Benji Marshall, and they haven't really got a Benji Marshall in the team. Like Adam Dewey and Luke Brooks are good at doing the running game, but they're not really the razzle-dazzle type. So just interesting to see how they continue to try and play this season. And I think if they'd have to look for a decent player to deliver that. Appy Coruscant obviously can play the razzle-dazzle type game, but they need more. They need a 6 or 7 that does that. So there might be something they need to look at going forward. But it seems like left side Adam Dewey long term, that's what they're expecting. But maybe Moses is on his way. Yes, but on the other flip side of this, the Knights, to me, I don't know. I think they're going to struggle this year. I really do. I just don't see. I think Ponga should be fullback. I really do. So this one is going to be a tight game, and I think this might go down to the wire. Tigers by 1 point for me. Yeah, Tigers for 1 point. I don't know if I said about the other game, but I think in the Broncos-Cowboys one, I think the Cowboys will get their own golden point. And the final game of the round, the Dragons make their season debut against the Titans. Obviously, will Amone make a start? Will he make the squad? Or for late minute call up, we will see. Jack Bird will be playing 13. There's no Jack DeBellin. Dragons are generally good starters for the season, so it's going to be interesting to see how they go. Titans with that win last week, I'm very impressed with David Fafita. Can he continue his good form? Tanner Boyd was impressive. Is Kieran Foran going to play? If Kieran Foran's going to play, I'd say the Titans will win this one by 6 points. To be fair, that's the way I see it. The Dragons obviously have Ben Hunt, but I still think he should be playing hooker. I think they could easily put him at hooker, and they'll be a better side for it, but he wants to play half. So that is the rounds for me. Yes, I'm expecting some big turnarounds from some teams, and some teams will continue on their winning way. Who's the team? Who do we really want to say, yes, this team is going to win this week? And it's a pretty hard one to really label a team that is definitely going to win this week, but probably the easy one, probably going to be the less odds too. The Storm, I think, will get home. I think they're an easy, definite, decent win bet. I think they will be too good, but gamble responsibly. Enjoy the footy this week, and I'll be back again for some other videos. So I have a video out on Saturday, I believe. I have a video out on Saturday. It's just a fun video, and then we'll be back on Monday to review the round 2. Check it out. Remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Have a lovely day out there.